tower in the upright could mean trouble on this full moon.
Call it a result of your poor decisions, naive actions you take towards your very own people, you cowards.
Welcome to another episode of Shattering the Illusion of False Power. I created this psychology series in order to defend yourself and remain in your power at all costs when narcissistic energy vampires, cheap opportunists, bullies, liars, slanderers, and abusers create these self-fulfilling ultimatums to go behind your back and create an impossible situation for you by destroying your character as well as coming up against you for a various different amount of reasons. Usually sometimes it can be based off of money, other times they maybe promise favor to destroy you, depending on the individual who is out to get you. And you have to ask yourself, why would somebody do something like this? Sometimes it's as simple as people who feel they are up here above the law, but everybody else is down here where we have to abide by the law. And if we break laws, we go to jail, but then there's a person up here who just has some connections and knows people, and they figured, well, if I've got all this money and influence, I must be above the law, right? Because I can never ever be held accountable for anything I do since I'm up here above the law and everybody else is down here. So like, if I go to the store and I steal a candy bar, I'll be at least fined if I get caught, right? But you have a guy up here who may do something crazy, far worse than stealing a candy bar, and he will be protected just due to his people that he knows or the money that he has in some cases, depending on if people are willing to accept bribes to protect the guilty. And that can be a very, very slippery slope regarding the justice system, but I don't claim to be an expert. I didn't go to law school. However, this is a series to take back your life against narcissistic energy vampires, abusers, and opportunists who try to not only destroy your life, but get you caught up into things when you're not even thinking about them. Chances are you don't even know who they are, and if you do know who they are, they're out to get you for very selfish reasons. It's not that you're doing anything wrong, it's that the ego doesn't allow for conflict resolution, which I mentioned in the last couple episodes. Since the ego refuses conflict resolution and the ego is always fed, it's up to you to remain in your power, not because it's a battle of intellect or battle of wits. You know by natural design that you overpower the ego-driven individual who acts emotionally irresponsible and makes poor decisions which affects their quality of life. When it's affecting yours, it's up to you to get yourself out of their dirty shit because they got you caught up in it now, whether you like it or not. And that's the psychological warfare aspect. You have to accept the energy exchange for what it's worth, whether you like it or not, because now you have this ego-driven bastard just getting you caught up in shit that you have no business being caught up in. Oftentimes you know nothing about it, and they might go behind your back to lie on you, slander you, try to get you caught up, and convince people to come against you, whether it be money-driven or based off of lies and slander. But the 5 steps I created in Shattering the Illusion of False Power are clapbacks, poetic justice, psychological warfare, self-sabotage, and comparison. Today we're going to talk about 3 different steps and how they can all tie together. First, I'm going to discuss psychological warfare and self-sabotage. So, how psych warfare and self-sabotage work together is that you're caught up in shit now, whether you want to be or not, or whether you even know about it or not. And you will find out more as time progresses because the narcissist gets you intentionally caught up in shit. They are compliant and reliant on you becoming their victim due to their ego and whatever power they claim to have. But we're shattering the illusion of false power to remain in our power at all costs and protect ourselves from energetic vampires, losers, leeches, bullies, abusers, rodents, total menaces to society with zero ethical business practices and no sense of intelligence. They lack poor leadership skills. They're followers, not leaders. They don't know how to make rational choices. They don't know how to balance out justice. So when injustice prevails, poetic justice will eventually catch up to the psych warfare and self-sabotage. But first, let's discuss when people come against you, even when you don't do anything wrong. They will tell lies about you, blame, shame, and accountability shift by spreading a series of lies, deceptions, and false narratives in order to force an issue that never even existed regarding you. Sometimes it's related to financial gain, other times it's related to framing you for an other person or group's dirty activities. So you accept the psychological warfare of, okay, now I'm caught up in somebody else's dirty activities due to what they're saying about me behind my back. And I'm not present to defend myself in the conversation. But as time progresses, I find out some of the lies and deceptions that people spread behind my back. And it's in order to not only destroy me, but to blame, shame, and accountability shift. As always, your burdens are yours to carry, and we remain in our power at all costs. So let's just provide an example. Say you have a really sick and dirty old man with a track record of homosexual activity. Anywhere from deleted back pages on Texas personals to homosexual dating websites. Not that there's anything wrong with gay people, but if you're into weird shit, then you don't really need to be trying to dig up dirt on other people who aren't into weird shit. Not to say there's anything wrong with gay people, but you're really walking a fine line by having these skeletons in your closet, yet you're trying to get innocent people caught up in things they know nothing about. Until you actually interfere in their lives, and then they do find out about it. So it's like, God forbid, you get to be in your 80s and you croak from old age. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, but if you're like a lustful sex demon or something and you're in your 80s, if you can naturally still get an erection, you should really look back on your life choices, the decisions you made, and what's got you to where you are today. Because, I'm only in my late 30s. Sometimes I've made some poor investments in my life, and I'll tell a story. There was this one stock that I bought into called Bankers Petroleum. The stock never went up. It kind of always stayed the same. Every once in a while it would go down, but it never went up, and I never made a profit off these stocks. And I thought, okay, well, I'm invested in this Bankers Petroleum, but it's not paying off. I sold the stocks, and I could never find success in the stock market. I ended up closing my investment account, and that's just something I needed to learn from. I made a poor investment. I'll never do it again. So let's say you have an 88-year-old man looking like the Monopoly guy or something. He comes out of nowhere saying, hey, I fucked up. I'm into some really gay, dark shit. They scrubbed my history on the Texas back page regarding the gay shit I was into, but I'm into some other weird shit too. And I need you to say this about this person if I give you X amount of money. Will you say it so that I can hide myself and take away focus on my dirty, rotten shit? Because if I take off focus on my dirty, rotten shit and I pay you money to tell lies on somebody else, maybe it will shift the attention onto them so that I can accountability shift and blame shame, because I really need somebody to accept this false narrative so that they can go down for my dirty shit. And it's like, that's not going to work for me. If you did that to me, I would remain in my power at all costs. And oftentimes the Monopoly man might say something like, I'm a sick old fuck and I need to fulfill my dirty sexual desires. So that somebody else can go down for my dirty life, but I'm also a sick fuck with some weird shit. So they all accept the money to lie about another person to make it look like that person's doing it, when it's really the sick old fuck, the Monopoly guy who comes out of nowhere and pays people money to say something. Now if they all say the same thing, it must be true, right? Well, if the dirty old man with the Monopoly money is still breathing, God forbid he croaks, because I wouldn't wish death on anybody. We really tried to force that narrative, right? But here's where the self-sabotage comes into play. You cannot just go around destroying innocent people's lives and expect to profit off of it, or accountability shift or blame shame, especially when you tell lies on an innocent person and you give other people money to go along with the lie and try to force that narrative. Because you're destroying an innocent person's life and you're going to have to answer for that one day. And that's where the poetic justice comes into play, because the universe hears every single lie you tell about a person, and if it is indeed a lie, you cannot come back from the series of lies and false narratives that you push to force an issue that never was. And you will get karma for it because the universe listens. I strongly believe in the energetic exchange, which may not pertain to the psychology of psychological warfare, but circumstances throughout life regarding how we treat people and what comes back to us. So like if you're guilty of a crime and you try to pin it on somebody else, whether you go to jail or not, like something bad might happen to you if you don't get arrested and found out. And that's just karma based on the universe hearing you trying to lie on somebody and get them caught up with your dirty shit. Not to say you will go to jail, because if you're dirty and corrupt enough and you have that monopoly money, I'm sure there's a lot of sick fucks out there who would protect you. And another philosophy these people have sometimes is that power in numbers is power, but it's based on nothing. It's just equivalent to like if 5 men accepted payouts to create false illusions and lie on somebody, it would be like 5 men having a vagina. That's what it really means. You are way off base with that shit. Your burdens are yours to carry, and you cannot just destroy innocent people. Until next time, Kimberly Ep10 signing out.